All right, your Arc Air Carbon Arc Guide, Revision B, issue date November 4th, 2010, form number 8925008. All right, Air Arc. Or warning: reading and understanding the entire guide with your employer's safety practice before installing operating servicing equipment. Information contained with the guide represents manufacturer's best judgment, and manufacturer assumes no liability for use. Air Carpet and Art Guide form number 8925008, published in Thermodyne Industries Incorporated, 2800 Airport Road, Denton, Texas. 762089405662000 at wthermodyne.com. Copyright 2010. Thermodyne Industry Incorporated, all rights reserved. Reproduction of this work or in whole or in part without written permission with the publisher is prohibited. Publisher does not assume hereby disclaims any liability to any of the party or loss damages caused by error and omissions with this manual, which such error results from the negligence, accident, any of the other causes. Publication November 4th, 2010. All right, Section 1, Introduction 1.01, Process Description 1.02, History 1.03, Application Safety, Section 2, Safety and Health, Section 3, Principal Operations, Section 4, Operation Techniques, Section 5, Equipment Selection, Section 6, Important Process Variables, Section 7, Advantages, Section 8, Application and Troubleshooting. Section 1, Section 1, Introduction 1.01, Process Description, Air Carbon Arc Process, or CACA, physically removes metal, not chemically, as oxy-fuel cutting, gouging, or cutting occurs with the intense heat of the arc between the carbon electrode workplace, melts the part of the workpiece simultaneously. The air passes through the arc quickly enough to blow the molten material away. The air carbon arc process does not require oxidation to maintain the cut, so it can gouge and cut metals with the metals that oxy-fuel cutting processes cannot. Most common metals would be carbon steel, stainless steel, make many copper alloys, cast irons, and can be cut using the air carbon arc process. Metal removal, the rate, it depends on the metal rate and the air jet efficiency of the removal of the molten metal within the process. The air must be lifted of the molten metal clear of the arc before metal solidifies. All right, 1012 history. Alright, air carbon arc gouging began in the 1940s, evolving the existing carbon arc cutting process. Myron Steffet, a welding engineer, developed the air carbon arc gouging to remove the several hundred feet of flat and cracked stainless steel weld. Previously, carbon arc cutting removed overhead with the vertical defects, welds, and rivet heads. Carbon arc metal melted the metal. The gravity molted with the gravity moved the molten metal away. Steppath reasoned with the air jet could provide a force. Reasoned that the air jet could provide force that removed the metal laying flat. So direct current electromagnetic carbon arc was tried. The second operator directed air blasting via the air nozzle of the molten pool. However, the attempt was unsuccessful. For the arc was moving more unstable. The carbon weld arc more unstable than carbon welding arc. So Stephen tried a direct current electrode positive arc, and the result was air carbon arc gouging. In 1948, Myron Stefflet introduced the first air carbon arc torch to the welding industry. In 1949, Stefflet, two associates, founded the Arc Air Company. Now, two operators were not needed, but the compressed air passed through the torch and excited beneath the electrode neutral, save time with a welded back gouging, crack removal of the weld, defect repair, a carbon alloy, stainless steels. Previously, these tasks were performed by grinding and chipping. The basic principle remained the same today, but improved equipment expanded the number of the applications. 103 application. The industry enthusiastically adopted the air carbon arc gouging, found many of the uses of process metal fabrication, casting, finishing, chemical with the petroleum technology, construction, mining, general repair, maintenance, and air arc torches and electrodes used throughout the world. Anywhere the metal is gouged, grooved, or severed or removed from the surface. Air carbon arc process is flexible, efficient, and cost effective only on practically any metal, carbon steel, stainless steel, or other ferrous alloys, gray, malleable, or ductile iron, aluminum, nickel, copper, or alloys, and other non-ferrous metals. Section 2, Safety Health. Safety and health. Safety practice welding and the cutting process, such as the air carbon arc, were then covered with the ANS, American National Standards Institute Z49.1. Safety and welding cutting, the ANSI 249.2. Fire prevention, use of welding cutting process. Air carbon arc operators, the supervisors should adhere to the safe practices discussed in these methods. Other hazards are arc welding, cutting, are briefly discussed in this section. Proper installation, use, and maintenance. Serious injury to death that may result with the gouging or the cutting of the equipment down properly and installed with the use and maintain with the issue for the equipment are unsafe practice for the kit has for the operator, supervisor, or helper must review understand the following safety warnings and instructions before installing and using any air, carbon, arc, torch equipment. Cutting and gouging process is used for the many but potential dangerous environments such as elevated heights, airs, limited ventilation, close quarters around water, hostile environments, etc. The most important operators are aware of these dangers associated with working in these conditions. The operator must be trained with safe practice for the working environments under competent supervision. It is essential the operator, supervisor, or other worker in the area are aware of the danger for the carbon arc process, training, proper supervision, important safe workplace. Keep these instructions first sheet for additional recommended safety operating and informing reference in each section. Electrical shock can cause injury or death. Installing and maintaining equipment according to the National Electrical Code and National Fire Protection Association 470 local codes. Do not serve the repair equipment with the power on. Do not operate in the equipment with protective insulators and covers removed. Serve the repair of the equipment must be done qualified with trained personnel only. Keep carbon electrodes dry with electrodes and become damp to bake them for 10 hours at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Wet electrodes may shatter. Do not contact electric live parts. Do not touch electrode with bare skin. Electrode ground at the same time. Always wear dry welding gloves in good condition. Aluminized protective clothing can become part of the electrical path. Keep oxygen cylinders, chains, wire ropes, cranes, hoisters, elevators away from any part of the electrical circuit. All grounding connections must be checked periodically. Determine if the mechanically strong electrically adequate for the required current. When engaged in alternating current gouging and cutting of the underwater wet conditions of the warm surrounding where perspiration is a factor, use reliable automatic controls. Reduce the no-load voltages to reduce shock hazard. When the gouging cutting of the process requires the values for the open circuit voltage alternating current machine higher than 80 volts, direct current machines higher than 100 volts means that must be provided to prevent the operator making accidental contact with a high voltage or adequate insulation or other means. When gouging is suspended for any substantial period of time, such as during lunch or overnight, the electrode should be removed from the torch. The torch carefully located where the accidental contact can occur. The torch must be disconnected from the power source when not in use. No immerse air, carbon, arc, torch electrodes in the water. Smoke and fumes of gas if the dangerous to health. Ventilation handles keep smoke with the fumes of the gas of from the breathing area. Fumes of the gouging process varies type with the strength depending on the kind of base metal being worked on. To ensure the safety of the not breathing in the fumes, ventilation must be adequate to remove the smoke and fumes gases during the operation. Protect gouging operators and other areas in the air. Others in the area. Vapors of chlorinated sulfur can be the toxic gas of the phosphagen when exposed to the ultraviolet radiation from electrical arc. All sulfur the grease's potential source for the vapors must be removed from the operating area. Fumes produced by the cutting of the particular with a confined place for the cause of the discomfort, physical harm, and if inhaled over the extended period of time, provide adequate ventilation, gouging, cutting area for the use and supplied respirator. If there is ventilation but not adequate, remove all fumes and gases. Never ventilate with the oxygen because the oxygen support vigorous accelerated fire. Noise can damage hearing. Personal protective equipment and clothing. Noise for the carbon arc process for the damage physical ear hearing. Wearing protective devices ensure the protective noise level that exceed the OSHA standards. Adequate hearing protection devices must be worn. Operators surrounding personnel to ensure personal protection against noise and ensures the permissible noise exposure for the duration per day and sound level slow response. Arc rays, hot slag, spark can cause injury to eyes and burn skin. Gouging cutting process that produce extremely localized heat and strong ultraviolet rays. Never attempt the gouge cut without the welding helmet with the proper lens. Comply with the federal guidelines. Number 12 to 14 shade letters provides the best protection against the arc radiation. If confined area to prevent the reflected arc rays that enter into the helmet to make other visible arc rays and sparks. Approved shielding curtains and property with the goggles should be used to provide protection for the other surrounding area of the operators nearby equipment. Skin should be also protected from the arc rays, heat, and molten metal, but always wear with the protective gloves and clothing will not allow skin to become exposed. The pocket should be closed with the cuts sewn shut. Leathers, aprons, sleeves, leggings, etc. should be worn out. Position gouging, gouging or cutting with a heavy metal removal of the operation. Use the large electrodes. High top work shoes should provide adequate protection from foot burns. For added protection, use the leather spats. For flammable hair preparation should not be used. The gouging, cutting, wear earplugs. Wear earplugs to protect the ears from spark. Shielded booth work permits the arc welder to enclose the individual booth painted with a finish of local reflectivity zinc oxide. Important fact of absorbing ultraviolet violet radiation lamp black and should enclose the non-combustible screen similarly painted. Welding sparks can cause fires. Explosion, fire burn, hazard the cause of fires, explosion, combustible breach from the arc flame, flying sparks, hot slag, heated material, remove the combustible work area, provide with the fire watch, and avoid oily, greasy clothing at a spark when the magnetum have the fire extinguisher nearby. How to use it. Be alert with the danger condition, radiation, for example, the gouging of the cutting first down with the metal wall of the partition itself, the sealing of the roof, of the precautions must be taken to prevent ignition of the combustibles. On the other side, do not gouge cut containers that have been held combustibles. All hollow space of the cavities containers should be ventilated with the gouging cutting to permit the escaping of the air gases. Purging with the inert gases recommended. Never use oxygen, air, carbon, arc torches. Shows recommended minimum air requirements. Use only compressed air. Use combustible. Compressed gases can cause explosions, result with a personal injury and death. Safety operation reference of the Code Federal Regulation, OSHA Section 29, 1910, 95, 132, 133, 134, 139, 251, 252, 253, 254, 1000. U.S. Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C., 2482. And National Standard Institute Z49-1, Safety and Welding Cutting, and National Standard Institute Z87-1, Practical Occupational Education, AI and Face Protection, ANSI Z88-2, Certain Practice of Respiratory Protection, American National Standards Institute, 1430 Broadway, New York, 118, American Welding Society C53, Recommended Practice for Air, Carbon, Gouging, and Cutting, American Welding Standards F41, Recommended Safety Practice Welding and Cutting Containers, American Welding Standards 550, New York, Eugene Pete Road, P.O. Box 351040, Miami, Florida 33135. National Fire Protection Association 518. Fire Prevention Cutting Welding Process, National Fire Protection Association, Battery Park, Quincy, Massachusetts 02269. CSA Standards W11 and 72. Safety Welding Cutting Applied Process Canadian Standards 178. Rexdale Boulevard, Rexdale, Ontario, Canada M9413. Alright, Section 3, Principal Operation. Like arc welding, carbon air, carbon arc gouging used intense to create the molten pool workplace. Compressed air blows the molten metal. The process required with the welding power source, the air compressor, carbon electrode, gouging torch, and illustrate the component arrangement. Power supply, compressor air, electrode lead with a direct electrode positive or AC concentric cable working lead, torch, carbon electrode worker piece. Gouge the direction of the airflow with electrode angle varies depending on the application operation. Maintain a current arc length so that it will remove the molten metal. See Figure 2. Figure 2 principles are carbon 7-inch stick out copper peel back 3/4 to 2-inch back travel air pressure 80 psi always under the electrode torch heads. Power supply. Single phase for the machine's low open circuit voltage may not work with the air carbon arc gouging. However, any three-phase welding power source for the solution with the capacity may be with the air carbon arc gouging. Open circuit voltage should be higher than the required arc voltage to allow the voltage drop in the circuit of the air voltage for the air carbon arc gouging. Cutting the range for the low of 335 volts for the high is 56 volts. Open circuit voltage should be at least 60 volts of the actual arc voltage of the air carbon arc gouging. Cutting is governed by the arc length and type of the gouging. Beside the special use for the duress lathe with the air carbon arc gouging, use the direct current electrode positive. The reverse polarity electrode should extend 7 inches from the gouging toward the air jet between the electrode and the workpiece. Minimum extension of the 2 inches of the torch part will be damaged with the stick out. Torch parts will damage if stick out of the electrode is less than 2 inches. Compressed air. Use ordinary compressed air carbon arc gouging. Normal pressure ranging from 80 psi at the torch. Higher than pressures may be used to not remove the metal. More efficiency. Use a 60 psi with light duty manual torches. Do not use pressure that is lower than general duty torches. Regardless of the pressure with the manual torch with the air hose supply air with the cable to some of the connect with the torch body should have the inside diameter of at least 3/8 of an inch. Mechanized torch automatic arc length control should have the air supply low hose with a minimum of inside diameter of 1/2 inch. Table 1, give this consumption of compressed air with the manual with the mechanized torch plus compressor power rating and intermittent with the continuous use. Be used the compressor receiver the tank is large enough to compress the rating. These type of electrodes are listed with the direct current copper-coated electrodes are more widely used because of the comparative long electrode life of the stable arc characteristic group of the uniform electrodes made with the mixing of the carbon and graphite with a binder. With the mixing of the mixtures, the dense of the homogeneous graphite electrode, local electrical resistant, which are coated with the controlled thickness of the copper available at 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, 5/32, 5/16, 3/16, and 3/8. The joint electrodes working without stubbling to use and finishing the female side of the male tang available in diameters 5/16, 5/8, 3/8, 3/4 inch, 1/2, and 1 inch. Flat rectangular coated electrodes, rectangular grooves, and remove the weld and reinforcement available in diameters of 5/32 inch and 3/16 of an inch. Half round coated electrode provides versatile, having both round and flat electrode available in 3/8 of an inch by 5/32 of an inch. DC plain electrodes use the diameter less than 3/8 of an inch during with the gouging consumed with the more rapidly coated electrodes. They are made with lightly coated, like the coated electrodes, but with copper coating available to diameters 5/32, 5/16, 3/16, 3/8, and 1/4 inch. Alright, your AC coated electrodes are made with a carbon graphite with a special bind with rare earth and materials are added to ensure arc stabilization using alternating currents. These electrodes are coated with the copper available to diameters 3/16, 1/4, and 3/8 of an inch. Table 2 says your suggested current range is amps for the commonly used electrode types. You have your electrode diameter, the DC electrode positive, the AC electrode, and your AC direct current negative. Alright, warning, air carbon arc process produce fumes in various types of the strength depending on the kind of bait. To ensure that the safety do not breathe with the fumes ventilating near the air, protect the air carbon operators for the other use. Sometimes operators may need with special breathing equipment. Be sure to test the air and ensure that it is free of dangers. Alright, welding cable leads. Table 3, we give the recommended numbers of the welding leads for the different current lengths. Manual gouging torches. A manual torch is shown in figure 3 with the electrode with a swivel head containing with one more air hole so that the air jet stays aligned with the electrode regardless of the electrode angle with the gouging torch. Torch with the two heads for the air jet with the two sides of the electrode or with a fixed angle between the electrode and the holder. Fit the better for some uses. Remove the pads and rise with the large casting and pad washing. Torch used early air cooled for high current applications. Water cooled cable assemblies may be used with a heavy duty torches. Says insulator, electrode, insulator, torch body, cable connector, air lever, valve, handle, conductor, compressor, and cable cover. Table 3 shows the recommended number size of welding leads various currents and lengths from 25, 50, 100, 150, 200, and 350 feet, amps, and 100 to 2,000. And recommendations are based on 4-volt DC drop per 100-foot AC using next heavier size length of the given 1/2 sum of the electrode and ground leads. Inadequate grounding cable causes overheating at least 1 inch squared of contact per 1,000 amps. Over 1600 amps use the heavy-duty air-cooled concentric cable. Over 2,000 amps use heavy-duty water-cooled concentric cables. Alright, Section 4, Operation Techniques. Controlling automatic gouging torch. The two methods of controlling automatic arc gouging torch. Either method makes grooves in consistent depth with a tolerance over the 25,000th of an inch, plus or minus. These automatic units are used to achieve the high-quality gouge with increased production. See Figure 4. This method of valve with the voltage control method that maintains arc length voltage signals through the solid-state electronic control. The method controlled with electrode feed speed maintains preset voltage. It runs with a constant power supply. Note the N6000 automatic gouging system developed by Arc Air and can run only with the CC and constant current power CP. Amperage control maintained with the arc current amperage for the signal of the solid state. The control of the method control electrical feed signal maintained with the preset amperage runs with a constant voltage power supply sources only. Alright, Figure 4 shows the controlling on an automatic gouging torch. Gouging manual torch electrode should be gripped with the showing Figure 2 with the maximum with a 7-inch extent with the torch aluminum extension with the 3-inch should be suggested current with the different electrode type and size. Turn on the air jet before striking the air. The hold of the torch is shown in Figure 5 with the electrode slope back with the direction travel of the air jet behind the electrode. Figure 5 shows flat gouging position. During gouging, air swept beneath the electrode removes all of the molten metal of the arc can be ignited. Limited lighting torch electrode to the workpiece of the electrode should not be drawn back with once for the arc is ignited. Gouging the different arc welding becomes metal with the remove the not deposit for the maintain short arc work direction because of the fast enough for the keep it up with the metal removal of the stainless movement with the control of smoothness of the resulting cut. The gouging vertically hole with the gouge torch should be shown in Figure 6. Before gouging downhill downhill to permit gravity to help remove the molten metal. Vertical gouging may be done uphill, but it's difficult. Gouging horizontal may be done either right or left, always done four-handed gouging. And gouging over the left of the hand torch shown in figure 7, and of the show figure 6 show the vertical gouging position. And gouging the left, hold the torch shown in figure 7, the gouging to the right, reverse the torch, hold. Position the air jet behind the electrode with the gouging in the overhead position shown in figure 8 with the head of the electrode torch so the molten will not drip it over the operator's glove. Figure 7 shows the horizontal gouging position, and figure 8 shows overhead gouging position. The groove depth is controlled with the travel 3 grooves up to 1 inch deep with the maybe made with the however the deeper the groove, the more experienced the operator needs to be. With the slow travel is produced with the deeper groove, with the faster travel the speed with the producing shallow groove. The width of the groove is determined by the size of the electrode, is typically 1/8 of an inch wider, with the electrode diameter the wider of the groove of the may be made with a small electrode oscillating with a circular weave motion. When the gouging is used, the push angle of the 35° with the workpiece surface of the must be have the application steady. Press to ensure smoothly gouged surface, especially overhead positions. Proper travel speed depends on the size of the electrode and base metal. The use of the amperage and air pressure proper speeds produce a smooth hissing sound result of the speed gouging. Good gouging. Severing. Figure 9 shows the electrode ready for severing. Severing techniques like the gouging. Sever the operator hold the electrode at a steeper angle between 70 to 80 degrees of the workpiece surface. For cutting thick non-ferrous metal with the hold the electrode perpendicular with the workpiece. Air jet favor the desired side of the operating server. Severs the metal by removing the arc up and down with a sawing motion. The figure 9 shows the electrode severing 1.5 times the diameter. Maximum thickness can be cut in one pass, 1/16 of the minimum. Favor side desired on the air jet. Electrode angle at 78 degrees workpiece. Gouging torches with fixed angle heads are well suited with the application because the hold electrode at the correct angle with the other type of the torch to be sure to keep the air behind the electrode steadiness for the operator to determine the smoothness of the surface produced. Washing the position electrode shown in figure 10 use the air carbon arc process to remove the metal larger areas. Surface metalling, riser pads casting while weaving the electrode with the side to side when pushing forward with the depth of the desired and pad washing operation. Use the angle of 15 to 70 degree workpiece using 15-degree angle with light finishing passes, steep angle performing deeper to rougher gouging, which may be more ease to pad wash. To keep the torch parallel to the workpiece, weave side to side across the width of the air to be clean. Maintain forward motion across the workpiece. Hold the electrode work angle 15 to 70 degree, mainly only on cast iron shallower angles to produce a smoother finish. Figure 10 shows pad washing and shows 15 to 70 degrees forward travel beveling. Using a bevel method to take place, to take place of electrode figure 11A with the travel angle and 90 degrees working angle equal to the bevel angle. Place the air jet between the electrode and the workpiece. The bevel using the thin plate shown in figure 11B, hold the torch parallel to the edge of the bevel, the electrode angle equal to the bevel angle. Place the air jet between the electrode and workpiece. Surface figure 11 shows the work beveling. Figure table 4 shows the automatic carbon arc gouging A and U groove operating data. Electrode in millimeters, desired depth of millimeters by speed in millimeters and amps and their amperage. Table 5 shows the automatic carbon arc gouging J groove operation data, material and size, electrode size, amperage squared, electrode overhang in millimeters, 1, 2, and 3 pass the travel speed, 1, 2, and 3 pass the overall speed. Alright, section 5, equipment selection, gouging torch guide, torch range for the light duty foam with the body shop size of the extra heavy duty foundry, torch for each of Apple with a specific type of the jobs, angle arch torches. You have your K2000 light duty general purpose except the 1/8 of an inch round electrodes, 3/8 of an inch flat electrodes, maximum 450 amps. Your K3000 medium duty purpose torch except the 5/32 inch round electrodes, 3/8 of an inch flat electrodes, maximum 600 amps. Your K4000 heavy-duty general purpose torch except the 5/32 inch round electrode, 3/8 of an inch and 5/8 of an inch flat electrodes, maximum 1000 amps. Your Triarc foundry heavy-duty general foundry work heavy-duty fabrication limited to 1600 amps for the air-cooled cable to 2000 amps for the water-cooled cable. Your automatic air carbon-matic N6000 each preparation back gouging high-quality, high-productive electrodes used with 5/16 and 3/4 inch joint carbons. Use any of the three-phase welding power source enough to capacity for the air carbon arc gouging. However, the open circuit voltage high enough to allow for the voltage drop in the circuit with some of the constant voltage dropping with a characteristic for the variable for the OCV to run air carbon arc gouging. Equipment single-phase power sources are usually too small for this purpose. Power source with the conjunction with the mechanized gouging should be 100% duty cycle with the required amperage. DC constant current motor generator rectifier resistor graded unit power supply with electrode size of DC constant voltage motor generator rectifier usually 3/5/16 within the large diameter electrodes make up with the carbon deposit small electrodes no suitable automatic torches voltage control only. AC or AC constant current transformer recommended with the AC electrodes only. AC and DC transformer rectifier. DC supply with a three-phase transformer rectifier supply source of satisfactory, but DC for a single-phase supply with the give the unsatisfactory characteristic. AC output. AC DC is satisfactory provides AC electrodes are used. Alright, automatic system. Automatic system used often today with today's fabrication instrument. These systems are high quality, high productive alternative manual gouging. They are to manual gouging. They are two types of system considered with both operating single with the arc and control and gouging. Dual signal system, the type of the automatic system, either constant current with a constant voltage, the power supply with the constant current with arc length with the maintain with the voltage signal system, like a single system controller that has predetermined voltage assisting advance for recheck the electrode throw. Stepping motor with a maintained arc length with a constant voltage power supply, amperage settings, sensing control with electrical feed with the retraction maintained with the right arc current. Single system, like dual single system, the system also maintains length with a voltage signal and will, however, operate with the amperage signal. The type of the system operates only on the constant current power source. Advantage, air carbon arc gouging ensure the better productivity quality system conform out of position gouging. Long gouge flat workpiece move with the gouging apparatus. Circular gouge pipe and tank stationary gouging apparatus. In addition, performing U-grave shape can control the depth of the groove to plus or minus 25 thousandths of an inch. Tables 4 and 5 show the operating information of U and J grooves. Section 6, important process variable. The process variables, like any thermal cutting with the air or carbon arc gouging, sensitive to the variable with the operation variable, can cause change of the finish gauge of the range of the undetectable acceptable results. Here are some variable are carbon arc gouging process. Electrical diameter determine the size of the groove of the amperage, determine the diameter of the electrode being used with the current flow for the metal with the base metal with the pressure behind the amperage of the arc for determine the arc length with the constant current power supply inside on with the constant voltage power supply. Air pressure flow with the medium remove the molten metal with the rate travel speed, determine the depth, the quality of the finished groove, the electrode travel and work angle can determine the groove shape, electrode extension affects the metal removal the rates and quality of the groove base metal with effects of many other variables. Electrode diameter type of the electrode side with the type of the diameter groove side of the electrode also for the productivity groove quality metal remove the rates and width of the groove with within 1/8 of an inch wire of the diameter of the electrode determine the proper electrode desired groove side with available power dictates the hour limit. Alright, example to achieve the following groove, the dimensions 1/2, 1/4, 1/10 inch of the perform the manual passing twice using the 1/4 inch electrode, one pass with a 3/8 of an inch electrode, and the first gave it the best gouging rate with a 10 inch per minute, divided by 2.5 inch per minute, with the latter treble at a speed of 17 inches per minute. The here 3/8 of an inch diameter of the 200% increase of the gouging rate could set off, offset with the added electrode called the automatic system, further increase the productive rate with a finite control arc voltage. Amperage, the gouging amperage of the metal force with the effective of the electrode side with the, for example, the amperage is set too below the electrode side with the base metal with the melting rate with it would be inadequate to cover the free carbon dioxide. Conversely, with the setting of the too high would still melt the base metal with rapidly deteriorate the electrode while reducing the metal removal of the per electrode could cause substantially reduce the torch life. Voltage pressure of the arc force enabled with the current to flow across the arc with the carbon arc gouging required with a high voltage does not do most of the welding process for the inch of the proper operation power supply with a high enough output circuit voltage mean 35 volt operating minimum. The note each voltage can create a sputtering arc to prevent arc establishment resulting in uneven grooves probably with a free carbon dioxide deposit of the both remove the exceeding of the grinding to remove. Air pressure flow rate, air remove the molten metal with the adequate pressure for the flow rate with the required proper result with the keep in mind the air volume of the cubic feet per minute or liters per minute is important with the air pressure of the pascal and kilopascals. PSI and kilopascals, pressure, speed, air move of the molten metal with the groove is not enough of air volume to lift the molten metal material out of the groove. Pressure and velocity cannot move it. Result excessive flag adhesion or unnecessary grinding to keep the clean up of the groove. Travel speed effect of the groove with gouge depth of the groove, the quality of the faster travel than the arc angle with the more shallow of the gouge, the smaller the electrode travel speed with the too fast for the operator comfort the trying automatic gouging, making the groove too deep for the electrode diameter result of the poor quality groove, and this requires much grinding. Alright, electrode push angle. Electrode push angle with the vary with the gouging manually with a steeper angle with the tens with a give it a more V-shaped groove of the automatic system. Steeper angle with a produce a slightly deeper groove and the same travel speed. Base metal. Gouging recommendation procedure carbon steel low alloy steel use DC electrode direct current electrode positive AC electrode with a C transformer can be used with the application AC only on half efficient DC stainless steel same as with the carbon steel. 3 cap or cast iron, including malleable and duct iron, are use 1/4 inch large electrodes, highest rated amperage. Note: use special techniques of gouging these metals listed above. The push angle should be exceed 70 degrees off the workpiece. If the depth of the cut should not exceed 1/2 inch per pass. Copper alloy, copper contents with a 60 degree to 60% or under. The DC electrode, DC in electrode negative, electrode high ampere rating. Or copper alloys, copper content of 60% of the larger workpiece. Use the DC electrode to direct current electrode negative, the maximum amperage rating with electrode. Use the AC electrode with the AC aluminum bronze, aluminum next, nickel bronze special nav with a propeller alloy. Use the DC electrode with the direct current electrode negative. Nickel alloys, nickel content over 80% of the mass. Use AC electrode with the AC. Nickel content less than 80% of the mass. Use DC electrode direct current electrode positive. Magnesium alloys use direct current electrode with a direct current electrode positive. The wire brush groove before welding. Aluminum use DC electrode with a direct current electrode positive. The wire brush stainless steel wire brush before welding. Electric extension link with the electrode between the torsion and work should not exceed 3 inches. The direct current electrodes with the direct current electrode negative can also be used. Titanium, zirconium, hafnium associated alloys do not cut or gouge to prepare welding or remelting unless the surface layer is mechanically removed at the cut source. No, if the operator preheat for the welding of the preheat is gouging, effect of the air carbon arc gouging process for the base metal, the metallurgic current for the during the air carbon arc gouging cutting profit the direct current positive the corresponding half cycle of the alternating curve of the current flow carries ionized carbon atoms from the electrode to the base metal. The base metal quickly absorbs the free carbon particle with the kins for the absorption and is inevitable. The air jet will remove all the carbonized molten metal from the curve. When the air carbon arc process is usually in proper conditions, carbonized the molten metal for the left arm of the workpiece color is usually dull gray and black, and then constantly contrasted bright blue with a properly made with a groove. An adequate airflow may leave the small blue pools carbonized metal with a bit on with a groove. The regular electrode travel the special manual operation may cover the ripples in the groove. Travel the carbonized metal with the finely improved improper electrode motion angle with a maybe cover the small bead with the carbonized metal to remain on the groove's edge. Carbonized metal can be compromised with the workpiece feature welding and stay within the cutting surface depending on the amount of the carbonized metal present in the welding process. You with the type of the base repaired weld quality despite with the misconsumptions with the filler metal the surfacing during the welding would absorb with the small pools and be with the carbonized metal working with a steel-based metal show with a trace of the metal with a 1% carbon but still allowing the weld at the interface of the show of the flaws may lessen the weld strength and toughness. Copper and copper-coated electrodes does not transfer the cut surface into the base metal unless the process is improperly used. Remove carbonized metal with the cut-off surface of the grinding by preventing grinding gouging properly with the right conditions. Studies conducted with the stainless steel determined that the air carbon arc gouging carried out with the prescribed manner affects the reverse corrosion resistance. There's studies showing with no significant difference corrosion rate with the weld with the air carbon gouging with the repair with the by grinding. See table 6 hands. Head carbon can be absorbed with the corrosion rate for the welded back gouging with the air carbon arc gouging would have been significantly higher. Studied with the type 304L stainless steel and are welded several process back gouging of the joint was performed with the air carbon arc gouging and by grinding. Specimen for the joints are subject to the boiling at 65% nitric acid test. Compressed air, oxy-fuel coating, air carbon arc gouging, low heat input process, therefore work rates in the process of the gouging cut by air carbon arc gouging unless the sort of the machine low carbon non-hardened steel does not affect with the air carbon arc gouging. This will cast iron carbon steels. However, the process may cause enough hardening to make the surface too much touch to the top of the machine. So because the hardened zone is shell approximately 6/100 of an inch, the cutting of the tool cannot penetrate with the hardened zone, remove the hardened surface. Table 6 shows the result of the corrosion testing of the type 304 stainless steel. Specimens, process position, root preparation, corrosion rate per month in inches. Alright, section 7 advantages. Fast time, faster for the dripping, gouging 3/8 of an inch deeper at 2 foot per minute. Easily controllable, precisely remove the defects. The defects are clearly visible when the groove of the may be defiled, but the ease of the depth of the cut is easily controllable. The slag does not hamper the cutting action. Low cost, gas cylinder regulators are unnecessary except in field operations. Economical to operate, no oxygen fuel is required with a welder. Welder operator may also do with the gouging or cutting. Easy to operate welding operating equipment only with a few minutes. That may come with a skill within a few with a day with a torch touch. Torch contains an air current control valve with a swivel head with a permit change with the electrode angle with the suit the job of the maintaining air jet alignment. Compact, no much larger than shield metal arc welding torch. Very versatile anywhere welding on a curve with a be operative in space restricted for the wood shipping air ox fuel gas. Cutting torch needs no difficult adjustment. You use the different metals. Cleaning, cutting. Resulting in surfaces clean and smooth, the welding and the brazing is often done without further grinding and cleaning of the groove. Section 8, application and troubleshooting, agricultural, aircraft, automotive, boiler shop, breweries, chemical plant, construction, dredging, foundry, surface land, lumber industry, maintenance shop, army, marine, navy, coast guard, mining, oil, refineries, oil drilling, packing, housings, power plants, salvage yards, railroads, just because I like railroads, we'll go read that one. Maintaining equipment to remove the journal liners, rivets, welders, tube sheet, preparing brakes and boiler, fireboxes, etc. Repairing or by welding, salvage and rescuing air after equipment wreckage, preparing and welding strip for the removal of the frog switches or rail ends, preparing magnesium steel for the weld and from the riser pads, defects, gassing and foundry, preparing warm wheels for rebuilding. By welding, shipbuilding, stainless steel fabrication, steel mills, waterworks, welding shops. Alright, your trouble shooting. Large free carbon deposit beginning of the groove. They cause for the operator either neglected to turn on the air jet before striking the arc of the torch was located improperly. The carbon rod and not positioned properly with the headly assemble the solution. Turn off the air, striking the air between the should flow between the electrode and the workpiece. Second, and then ensure the carbon rod seat with the groove in the torch head. As unsteady arc causing the operator to use slow travel to speed and only as travel the groove need enough amperage electrode diameter use while the lowest recommended amperage may be enough. It requires a generator operator skill mid-range amperage better if the desired amperage can be obtained with available power source with the use of a small diameter electrical parallel as well as 2 more welding power supplies. Erratic groove within the arc wandering on the side to side with the electrode heating of the apparatus. The cause is the process with the direct current electrical negative. The solution of gouging process should be done with the electrode positive with the possible. The direct current electrode should be used with the direct current electrode positive on all metals except with a few copper alloys such as superstone and alloy. Refer to figure 420. Intermittent arc action resulting in irregular groove safe. The travel speed with slow manual gouging operative possible hand-on work balance. Since the shield metal arc welding, since the speed with the air carbureting arc gouging much faster than metal arc welding, friction between the glove of the hand with the workpiece causes jerky forward motion that causes the gap between the electrode of the workpiece being too large to maintain the arc. Solution 1, operation with conformity with the arms removed with the freely gloves do not have drag on the workplace. You use mechanized equipment check for the proper operation conditions. Cause 2 would be poor ground connections. The solution is to inspect the ground clamps and leads and ensure connection is proper. Gouging free carbonate deposit varying with the groove interval of the pad. Washing free carbonate deposit will vary spots of the wash. And serve the short electrode workpiece with the manual of the gouging result of the excessive travel speed with the amperage with the depth of the groove being made with the mechanized operation of the result of the excessive street travel speed, a flat curve, constant voltage power with the source of the small diameter 5/16 electrode in pad washing. They cover the holding electrode to small push angle. Use the electrode to work angle to 15 to 70 degrees with the angle, then increase the arcing area and reducing the current density with the reducing arc current density of the wires greater, decreasing the arc length with its point with the short with the circuiting, keeping the proper arc gap. Irregular groove with the depth of the too shallow with the operator was unsteady with the operator should assume the comfortable position while gouging. Slag adhering to the edge of the groove, slag ejection inadequate with the result of the proper air pressure for the flow rate with the air pressure between 80 and 100 psi may not effectively eject all slag if the volume is sufficient. Solution: deliver adequate volume with the air hose feeding with a concentric cable. The assembling the the minimum of the hose inside diameter 3/8 of an inch for manual torsion R and for automatic torsion minimum hose inside diameter 1/2 inch. Direct air jet parallel to gouge of the air with a favor one of the sides used unless the operator wants to minimize lag with adhering to one side of the cut. And this is your a little ad. This was the Arc Air Carbon Arc Guide. Revision B, issue date November 4th, 2010. Testing.